I hadn't planned on making this video, but I've been really sick for one thing. I usually put them out on a weekly basis, but I've been messaging with a friend and mentioned that video that I put up recently. I think it was 177. It was called Am I a Neurodivergent? And she sent me a list. She didn't know what the term meant, and she probably keyword searched it. Yes, I don't use the word Google. I use the word keyword searched. Keyword searched it online and found this list that aligned with the conception people have of ADHD and autism. And as I said in the video, I don't see any traits I have that I would share with people on the autism spectrum. I was entertaining the notion of being simply neurodivergent in my mind. Well, it was all, if you haven't seen the video, it was all because a childhood friend that I've kept in touch with suggested that perhaps I'm on a spectrum or have some degree of autism. I don't think so. But I'd been talking with him about how my thinking pattern, well, as a child, growing up, obviously growing up, I assume that other people think the way I do. And I mentioned this in the video, but and then sometime after college graduation, I would talk to these classmates, and although they seem to understand what I'm talking about, sometimes when I would make these connections, these allegorical comments or these metaphors and so forth, or draw examples from famous people or something or other, it would seem like I would lose them. They would sometimes they would say, well, I can think of one person in particular that I had a sad experience with, that she would say, sometimes I don't understand, I don't follow you, or I don't know how many people felt that way. On the other hand, I make friends very easily, and I'm easygoing, and I can relate and I can empathize with people, and I can make friendships very easily. But there's been sometimes a disconnect with certain people, and so I was entertaining this notion, like the friend suggested neurodivergence, and the term itself seems vague. All it means is neuro, meaning thinking or mind, diverges from the norm. And I don't mean norm like healthy, I mean norm in the literal sense of being the average person. So I've when I encountered this before this recent messaging started, I just thought of some people as just being intellectually lazy, like they don't bother to think through things that deeply, basically not being a deep thinker. And so if neurodivergent conjures up the notion, or it's really tied to autism and so forth, and I don't see in myself any of those traits of autism. Like I definitely don't have problems concentrating. I don't have problems thinking things through. I don't even remember what the other things are. The one thing that possibly I share would be intense interest. But I mean, like George Lucas had an intense passion for movies, and I just think people have intense interest in things, and I suspect the smarter people are passionate about them and pursue them, and they're ambitious. So I hope I feel better tomorrow. I've had this cold I've had since Thursday morning, and that's not about this topic, but if you see me sniff, sorry for the sniffling. Anyway, I'm going to upload this video and call it like 177.5 because it really fits in. It's it's an add-on. It's a commentary. It's an add-on to the earlier video, but I don't quite want to call it its own separate video number. I'm going to save that for whatever comes up this coming week. I've been so sick, I haven't really worked on it, but there's some videos I really like to work on. I'd like to script out. I'd like to develop more features in my videos. I had thought about adding a side character that I can interact with, so that way it's not me just as I'm doing now, looking straight at the camera and talking. And it could also be a source of like some humor to lighten things up. I've tightened my edits. I hope that's going better. I wish I had a computer that's newer than my late 2015 computer. That way I could add in newer features of Keynote. I don't even have Keynote on the desktop computer I have. That would be nice. And my ideas, I have two topics in mind for videos. They're both in my Biblical Secrets playlist, or they will be. And I'm going to upload videos out of sequential order from the way that I want them to be played in the playlist, just simply because there are different things that I've already studied. I'm eager to get to those, and I don't want to go through, or I don't have the features set up yet. It's like that George Lucas thing where he wanted to make the prequels, but he didn't have the technology. The technology didn't exist yet, like CGI. He had to develop that in order to create his prequel movies. So anyway, the features I haven't been able to figure out how to make in those videos, but so they will be reorganized when I'm finished in the playlist. But I'm releasing them out of order. That's what I'm saying essentially. One of them is the possible origin of Christianity, and ties in directly with the Roman period of Emperors Vespasian. Well, actually, the Julio Nero dynasty, and then afterwards the Flavians. And I'd like to talk about the proposal by Joseph Atwell of Christianity being a creation of the Flavians in order to keep themselves or legitimize their right to the throne. And that ties in a lot with other things. And then I also want to do a video about the possible origins of Judaism. The proposal by Russell Gamirkin that you have a pre-biblical Israel, and then you had an enthusiasm for Plato on the part of some learned people, perhaps scholars, perhaps even Babylonians themselves. And they there's a series of like letters and references that were then drawn upon to create this 5-book set called the Pentateuch, or the Torah, or the Chumash, whatever you call it, Genesis through Deuteronomy. I believe it was created as a set, and I want to explain the hidden structure of those 5 books and why I believe it's clear. It was clearly written as a set simultaneously. And I disagree with the documentary hypothesis. I don't think it holds water at all. And that there are specific sources that were used to write the 5 books out at the Library of Alexandria, and they were Genesis was drawn largely from Berosus's history of Babylonia, and written only perhaps a year or two before what Russell Gamirkan suspects was the date of the Torah being written, and Manetho having written a history of Egypt. Both, I think both were. Certainly in the case of Manetho, a commission by the Greeks to write a history, perhaps because maybe there was a new leadership or something. Egypt was part of the Greek Empire, and so was Babylonia, and maybe that had something to do with it. And Israel was in there somewhere, and maybe that was the inspiration for the 5 books being written. And the notion, Russell Gamirkan's notion, being that because there were things that we're finding through archaeology that differ from the biblical accounts, that the writing of the 5 books was almost in total disregard. It was something fresh, and it was something written in around 270 BCE to promulgate Plato's ideas. That's another video I want to cover, and I want to do more about the. I want to fill out more videos about the paranormal playlist I have. I want to talk about the first case. In each video, I will present what's commonly believed about a specific UFO case, and then towards the end, I will give evidence that paints a whole new light on it, and perhaps, well, at least provides an alternative explanation for what happened. Like, for example, the person, his name escapes me right now. I've been suffering from a cold and sniffles and so forth. But Kenneth Arnold, 1947, seeing 9 objects that he described as moving as a saucer would if you skipped it across the water, and that's where the term flying saucer came from. He may have been seeing something else, and I'd like to go further into that. And I'd like to talk about how he was one of the first ones to investigate UFO sightings. And then another episode I want to talk about is the Roswell account and possible alternative explanations for that. Betty and Barney Hill, and the tie-in with Travis Walton, perhaps. From what I found, I don't remember the exact spot. I want to say something like Whitehead, but when they drove through in 1961, September 1961, they drove by, and they came to believe that they were abducted. There was a warning beacon, and right about the same spot where they say that the craft landed and took them aboard. What I suspect happened is that they drove by, they saw this, and then there were other weird things that could be explained by conventional means, and then they were put under hypnosis by Dr. Benjamin Simon, and by that was several years later, and by that point, I suspect that Betty Hill, who had already been reading about UFOs and talking about flying saucers and so forth, had created this kind of imagined this in her dream, this alien abduction in her dreams, and she probably talked to her husband, Barney, and there's a new evolution of that. It's also interesting, from what I uncovered, that there were 2, I think they were both episodes of The Twilight Zone. There was one called The Bolero Shield with an alien that looked something like that. However, there's another one, and the name of the episode escapes me, but it's about this man, this older man who tells tall tales, and then at the end of the episode of the Twilight Zone, it's a twist. They typically are. He's taken aboard a craft by aliens, and I don't remember the exact meaning, the exact reason that they have for abducting him. But anyway, that aired shortly before, not the UFO incident itself, supposed UFO incident itself in 1961, but shortly before the hypnosis sessions themselves. And that's what I suspect may have happened. That maybe she had watched it and she had this image in her mind, because the original description she gave of the aliens were characterized as something like short men with black hair and something. Was it James Cagney noses? And it's interesting that after news of that, oh no, so this becomes a famous abduction story, one of the first alien abduction stories, and then they air a movie of it, a made-for-TV movie on NBC. I believe it was Monday or Tuesday evening, called The UFO Incident, starring James Earl Jones and Estelle Getty. And then that was, I think, October 4th or 5th, 1975. And then shortly afterwards, in November 5th, right. It was like October or something. And then November 5th, Travis Walton claims in the National Enquirer that he had a UFO abduction. And I'm thinking that perhaps he copied from, or he was inspired to tell a tale from having seen the UFO incident. That's my suspicion. So I'd like to talk about those things in these videos, and I want to get more viewers. I'm happy and pleased and glad to have the number of viewers I do have, and I'll be really happy when I get over this cold. And I suppose that's it for now. So there's the introspection playlist, which I'll continue, which would be about me talking about my own life, and in a way, my own life experiences in a way that perhaps will help other people. And I was also thinking of creating another playlist talking about just experiences in my life and reconstructing my early years of life. But I don't know if that would, and maybe other mysteries in my life to clear up, but maybe that would be revealing, essentially doxing myself too much and giving away too much about my own private life. So perhaps, as much as I'd like to do that, I'll restrain myself from doing that. And then there's the Proving Ground playlist, which is basically demonstrating experiments I have with improving the look of the channel, so forth, and the paranormal and the and I've moved my my Samantha videos over to its own YouTube channel, which is Samantha Bahar, Bahar, and I guess that's about it. So I'll see you next time, presumably this coming Saturday. All right, bye.